Black Cat Lounge is sponsored by Beacon, a home for those who have a passion for filmmaking and the unusual. The Haunted Hinsdale House. Those who walk there do not walk alone. Paraware, apparel for the action-seeking paranormal investigator. Dragonfly art and soul for all of your magical, metaphysical, and spiritual needs. Mystery Control, your go-to feed for science, magic, true crime, the paranormal, and so much more. Paraniagara, one of the top rated destinations in Western New York. The Black Cat Lounge is part of the Paraflix Entertainment Network. Everybody, welcome to the show. You're listening to the Black Cat Lounge. Where else? Where the elite meet next to the dumpster transfer station. What can I tell you? Because why? We can. Listen, a lot of people, and this is, you know how I am. I'm not very, I don't like to be political when we start going on the show. You know that. But you know what? I'm just going to say this. Send healing to everyone out there who is in the midst of turmoil and loss, guys. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get into it any more than that. So guys, before we go on, I also got to tell you that, one of my latest acquisitions for all you guys out there that are UFO people and experiencers and all that, I bought a little swatch about yay big of Betty Hill from her dress, from the lining of her dress when she was abducted. Her and her husband Barney were abducted up in New Hampshire way back in the day. They were one of the very first people to come out. So I did actually get a piece of that, for the collection. So someday when moi gets ambitious and it decides to move all this stuff that is down in my basement to a suitable place. I think I have a place already in mind. You guys can come out and see some of these things. Anyway, we've got a great show for you tonight. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am so thrilled to have this lady on tonight. I really am, because she is really one of the nicest people that I've met in this field. We go back, how can I say it? A couple of years. You know what? When she comes on, I got to ask her how long we've known each other. It feels like forever. And she's got a sterling reputation here in Western New York and in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and everywhere else she goes. She's so talented. She's multifaceted. She has so many modalities that she can bring in. She's a world-class healer. First of all, I knew her first as a reader. And she was a great reader. She's a great reader, but she's a world-class healer. And we're going to talk about that tonight because you know what? We are in the midst of turmoil. And everybody, any of you guys out there that are just a tad clairsentient, a tad, or even, a little bit more sensitive than most people, understand that the world right now is changing. And we're going to talk about why we need this healing, not just for the world, but for our own personal sanity, the self-care that we need. And self-care is something that people always mix up because everybody thinks that, going for a massage and a chiropractor and all that, that's all self-care. That's all part of it. But you need something for your own spirituality. You need self-care for the soul. So anyway, this lady is amazing. She's amazing. I had to write down everything that she does because otherwise, man brain, guys, I won't remember it. Anyway, she's a psychic medium. She's a great metaphysical instructor. her classes are sought out. Really. She's a retreat facilitator. She's an energy healer. She's a sound healer. She's an astrologer. She works, that I just found out when we were chatting off air, with crystal skulls. I scry crystal skulls, but I don't work with them. She is probably one of the busiest and most sought out people in my area and anywhere. So let's bring on the one and only, the effervescent, the iridescent. Are you ready? Suzy Woo. Suzy, how are you? Welcome to the Black Cat Lounge. I knew I'd finally get you on here one day.
Yay! I'm sparkling and effervescent.
You know what? Really, you are so effervescent. I really should be wearing like sunglasses, but that's not, you know how it is. Hey, Suzy, a lot of people wonder about your background, and off air, I gotta say that we talked a lot about different things, but people always are like, my God, she is this and that, and she's building and she's doing this, and she is, it's almost like being on the fast track, and and I'll just say something right off the bat. You're one of the hardest workers out there. And I'm not just talking about a reader. And I always go, she's not just out there schlepping reading. She is out there building. And she is always looking ahead. And she's always trying to figure out more and more and more and where she can go. And, and it's not all about being successful in business. It's being successful in life. So, Suzy, right off the bat, first thing, I'm sorry, right off the bat, how long have we known each other?
I think about a decade.
Is it really?
So. I got out of my abusive marriage in 2009, and then I hit up the music scene. And so I was doing photography for bands so that I didn't have to pay a cover charge.
No, listen, there's nothing wrong with an angle, kid. I'll speak. I'll speak for a VIP ticket anytime.
And then I fell into spirituality. And then I was in that for, I think, about 3 years before I officially met you. Or since I don't do media or television or anything, like I had no clue who you were. So I heard your name and I'm like, oh, right over my head.
Listen, there's a lot of people that don't know who I am, and I don't know who I am most of the time. Anyway, listen, look, here's one of my favorite pictures. I found this in the archives, Suzy.
Yes. I got forked by Suzy Woo.
Great. Look at the head on that beast. Oh my God. That's about 30 pounds ago. But you know what? I think when we met, it was like instantaneous, because I think we both recognize something in each other. It's a dedication to what we do. It's a dedication. I always call it the dedication to the craft. So what came first? I've got to ask you the chicken or the egg question, of course. First of all, how did you know that you were, I always hate to call it gifted, but you had ability? And what was that spark? Because a lot of people always ask me, how did you know that this is something that you wanted to do? So how did you know that you wanted to do this?
I always had a love of astrology, and I was a little kid and I had a dream that I went out into the night and I looked up and the planets were labeled. So there was like a wooden popsicle stick and it with a tag, and it said Jupiter, and it was stuck into the planet Jupiter. And I saw Jupiter and Saturn. Like, I can still very easily recall that dream. And you remember back in the day when you used to go to the store with your parents or grandparents, they used to have the scrolls of astrology at the checkout.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I collected those, and I started it with numbers and all that stuff. But then I fell into a horribly abusive marriage or relationship from 16 years old till 39 years old. So And so all of that time, I completely went off the radar. So once I finally got out and stayed out of that relationship, of course, my question was why? What was so wrong with me that I stayed in that for so long, and all those things that when you're not right, you ask. And so the first thing I did is I rekindled my love of astrology to try to understand
Mm-hmm.
why. And I started to study the family dynamics. And then I tripped upon the terms narcissist and empath. And I was like, oh, I'm onto something. And so astrology was really my gateway, I think. And I didn't believe anything because I had a lot of healing to do. I didn't believe anybody. I thought everybody was full of crap. And at that time, that's when there was Cleo and all that kind of thing. So I assumed I can't trust anybody. There's a bunch of bunk. But as I was studying astrology, I learned from Cassandra Butler. So she is who cracked the nutshell open for me. I definitely pay homage to her.
I love Cassandra. She's such a wonderful person.
Absolutely. And she was doing a pendulum class. So I'm not buying this, but I'll go anyway. Well, the person next to me, and I'm super skeptical, and I'm seeing her hold this pendulum, and in my head only, I'm like, you're moving it. I knew this was nothing. So pendulums aren't a thing for me, except for the ones that I make. So like I've made my own pendulum and I've had success with it. Mm-hmm. And then that led into energy healing. I'm not buying this. I go home, I'm hammering on the keyboard. There's a bunch of crap. I go to the most highest recommended Reiki person. I lay down my money and I'm like, Reiki me. And so for a half an hour, all I heard was, okay, it was something in your sacral. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. I didn't feel anything. And so I get on my keyboard. I'm like, what is this? And the first thing that comes up is it's a pseudoscience. So I knew it. But I kept on going. And then I found Jerry Sargent, who's in England, and he does star magic healing. And I'm like, well, at first it was the eye appeal. He's all tatted up with piercing blue eyes. He's like, breathe, beautiful soul. I'm like, okay. And so by this time, I got my first radio gig at WBNY at Buff State College. And so I started bringing all my metaphysical friends on there. I would bring, Angie and Cassandra and all the people that we like. And I brought him on that show. Well, I was lucky enough to get him to come to New York and do a workshop. So I go to the workshop and I don't know anything yet. Just my astrology stuff and a little bit of Reiki stuff because I'm believing it now. And these people are talking during a break. They're lined up at the bathroom. And I'm hearing this person say, oh, yeah, did you see the UFO outside? I'm like, you're off your rocker. Oh, yeah, I feed berries milk. I leave it. I'm like, this is nuts. So I go through with it anyways, and it was pretty darn cool. So I did have some really cool experiences, and he works with extraterrestrials, so you might not have known I also work with extraterrestrials, and I also channel them too. Mm-hmm. And so kind of one thing led to another, and the very final, no, it wasn't, but the only thing I didn't claim is mediumship. I'm like, I'm not a medium, and everyone else was like, you're a medium. I'm like, no, I'm not. So I was doing psychic readings. I was doing tarot readings. And then in 2015, my father suddenly had passed away. And this is so interesting that he passed away and I had no clue that one of my things is I was afraid to come out of my own woo-woo closet. So after he passed away, I started to talk about, I do tarot readings. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And that kind of broke me out. And the first one I did was at the Central Terminal. Oh, I love that place. And so you could always tell the newbies because, they're only charging $20. And so that's what I did. I'm there with my astrology, my tarot cards, and my $20 sign. I was busy all day long. And everyone's like, oh, my God, you're amazing. And I knew they weren't just blowing smoke up my butt. And I'm like, and it was just too much fun. So I couldn't stop. It just built and built. And I had to add because that's how I am, Energizer Bunny of the metaphysics.
Well, let's just talk about this. The unfoldment process, that's what spiritualists call it, the unfoldment process, is something that, when it starts, it just blossoms. And there's no way that you can really kind of like stop it. You can ignore it, but you can't stop it. And it just becomes ingrained. It becomes something that is really, really intrinsic to you. And I think if you noticed, and just by what you were saying, the old spiritualist natural laws are coming to effect. Like attracts like. And that's something that I know firsthand. because again, we never knew each other. Us and some other people, and all of a sudden it was like we're all together. We all know each other. It's like this mutual admiration society that came out of literally nowhere. So like attracts like, and that's what I think is like I love. Now, before we go on, too many people go and think what we do is, well, to us it's easy because it almost becomes like breathing. But in order to go I don't want to equate it to a business aspect, but it's a lot of work. We dedicate a lot of work. How much? Let me ask you this every week. Now, let me know how many, just hour-wise, that you go and you actually are, I'll say, boots on the ground, you're working with clients, you're teaching. Then, how many hours a week are you sitting there and going, okay, Spirit, how should I handle this now? What direction? Kind of push me in that direction. Do you think? And, how many hours a week are you dedicating to this? And people will say it's a career. It's not a career. It's ability. But, like with me, I have to go and I need to dedicate X amount of hours per week to it. So how long do you dedicate? And we're talking business and everything else.
Yeah, well, I would say it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
I walk my talk. I live it. Like what you see is what you get. So I see clients 3 days a week with an optional 4th day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm not seeing clients on those days, I am writing workshops and programs. And so to put a number of hours on it, it's probably 6 hours a day when I'm not seeing clients. But I do, if I give myself a day off, I still will put in probably 1 or 2 hours, unless it's nice out and I'm working out in the yard because I've got a big, beautiful
But that's the way it is. People don't realize that. Now we have the amazing Suzy Woo on, and my next question I want to get into is, why didn't you ever think you were doing all this stuff, right? You were slowly evolving into where into what you were doing. You were doing cards, you were doing the psychical readings. Why didn't you ever think you were a medium? Because I have this thing where everybody's a medium. The psychic, to me, psychic is just like you're afraid to go and say, well, you got somebody standing behind you, why were you doubting yourself? Is it because you didn't have a
confidence and not feeling competent? Like those things are parallel. Well, they equal each other, but that was why I leaned into astrology, because me and my very skeptical self, I'm a Scorpio rising, don't trust anybody, but me saying that just threw myself off track. Well, no, astrology is a language,
right?
And so I leaned into the language of astrology to build my confidence upon. That began to expand into the other things. So as I started to work with people, reading the charts and starting to get their energy, and I would just say certain things and they would be like, yeah, like, oh my God. So even to this day, I still get it. Like it doesn't get old. I still get excited. But I have become way more well-rounded, but I feel mediumship was up here and I'm down here. So it's really, to me, it's kind of like growth and being able to trust what you're getting. And if you can't validate it, then how can you ever rely on it? So now I got it, like, but I'm not full of myself. Like, this is what I do. It's a living, it's a livelihood, and I live and breathe it.
Yes.
But I still like to get that feedback,
Skepticism.
And of course, I'm a Leo, so it's like, did I do good? Did you like that?
Well, let me ask you this. You're a skeptic.
Oh, yeah.
Are you still a skeptic on some things? Because I am as a paranormal investigator and someone who deals with a lot of sometimes icky negative stuff, I am the biggest skeptic out there. I try to be kind to people when I'm explaining stuff to them, but I'm a skeptic. what role do you think skepticism plays within the mediumship within the mediumship trade?
It hinders you horribly, horribly. It's you have to have your own set of safety standards because you'll
Yes.
encounter lower
Yes.
vibrational beings
Yes.
and you got to have your own thing, like, enshroud them in your own whatever symbolism, light, whatever you use. And if it can withstand that, then it's okay. And then you can go to the next level. But that's the thing, is a lot of people in the practice don't have that discipline or don't have that maybe training, and they go and they get a lot of dangerous stuff, or they get an attachment, and then they come to me and I undo it. So yes.
But that's important, because I don't know how many times people have come to me, said, I did X, Y, and Z, and now this is happening, or I feel off. I feel like there's something, and I'm like, well, you don't have the training. Why did you? Yes, everybody pushes the envelope, pushes your walls, your boundaries, but you need to have that training, and that's something that I'm always like preaching to people. You need to go and sit down and take the time, and at least have one mentor, just one mentor that you can call up and say, hey, I don't know what the hell I did, but and let them help you out.
It's important.
People,
good solid people will love to help you.
Yeah.
People who are full of themselves are going to be like, no, I'm not going to share my information with you. But like, even where I teach everything I know, because why wouldn't you want to empower people? You don't want to, it's
exactly.
not power play, like only me, I'm privileged, or I have the lineage. Oh, stop. This is trainable stuff.
I agree with you.
So
I get that. I get the lineage thing.
Intuition. You're born with it.
I get this. I love when, I was actually at a location for a public hunt, and I was helping out the owners, and I had a woman come up and go, my lineage goes back. I said, really? Really? I said, my lineage goes to 1880 with spiritualists, and it goes a little bit further back than that. And they're like, oh, your lineage, you're right. It means nothing because we are intrinsically born with this. This is something that is part of our survival,
and this kind of lineage, you've had other incarnations. So you've been white, you've been black, you've been every race, every ethnicity, you've been man, woman, in between. You've been all of that. You've been a blade of grass. Like, stop sticking yourself in a box.
Well, people do. People like to put themselves in a box. Now, you know what? A lot of times when we start talking about reincarnation, so I warned you this, we were going to be all over the place today, Suze. But we talk about reincarnation. People are like, well, no, I had this dream and X, Y, Z. No. And then you start doing a little bit more research, and you start looking at soul fractionation.
Mm-hmm.
Where bits and pieces all mix together to create a new personality. And all those little personalities are in there, in you going, oh, this is the experiences that I've had. This is what I'm bringing. And I think that's probably what most people are missing. When somebody comes up to you and says, Suze, I really think that I have this ancestral problem. How would you handle that? Because I recently got a book in my Facebook Messenger about something like that. How would you handle that when they're saying, ancestrally, I do have a problem?
Well, it is a thing for your lifetime experience in this lifetime, because you can rewrite that. You can go in there and you can rewrite that. And so what I do in a healing session, I will say, bring up the beginning point of the pain body in this person's lifetime experience, the beginning point. And so it presents itself to me. I do the healing on it, and then I download that healed version of them. And then all of the things that spiked from that are now dead. So you just wash it out. But I can go back in the lineage, because a lot of times it's not from this lifetime, most often. But a lot of times I will see, some big black thing. Or one time I was doing a healing and I saw a praying mantis, scared the crap out of me.
Really?
And this woman had like these eyes, and like they look right through you, which I can handle, but I was a little bit newer. But I'm there. I'm the professional, so I'm wearing my professional face and whatnot. But when I got her on the healing table, this praying mantis shows up, and they say she's one of us. We're trusting you with one of us. And in my mind or my third, I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And they're like, do your thing. Just do what you do. And then when we're all done, you always have to do the pillow talk after the session. And I'm like, and she's like, just say it. And I'm like, this mantis showed up and they said, you're one. She's like, yeah, I know. So that's another huge lesson. Like I had a client who had been, I was seeing a people farm, like they were breeding people in a people. And I was very new at that point. And I was, I don't know how to say this. And she's like, just say it. And I said it and same thing. Oh, I know. And so this is how you gain your footing is by, you are a mouthpiece. Exactly. This, I love to teach this way. You are the faucet. You are never the water. So you are housing what's coming through. You got to get the heck out of the way. You don't slow it down and try to read it or filter it or figure it out. You just, and that always works the best. Always.
It's funny. The only time that I have to slow it down is if I'm doing gallery and I'm in a church. Otherwise, whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. And I usually right up front, and I learned that from Chip Coffey. He's great. He'll be going, I'll cut a bitch or something. He'll say something that something like that. And I learned from him that it's hard to filter. You shouldn't really, even the words, even if you have obscene words coming out of your mouth. A lot of times people go, oh my God, that's so-and-so. That's just the way he would talk. And you can't filter. Now, when you're in church, it's a little different. It's like, well, this person had used to like to swear a lot or whatever, but otherwise I don't filter. And I found that it's probably one of the best things that I learned from him. And it also, I think, by being so open, it builds up your confidence. Mm-hmm. And we talked about how important confidence is in what we do. And that's just something that only comes with work, with hard work. Now,
with the experience, yeah.
I was trained first as a spiritualist energy worker. Then, of course, I did my Reiki 1 through 3,000, whatever, master teacher. I forget how many levels I went through. I'll have all my certificates are in a folder in my filing cabinet because I don't put anything up on my walls. I have this thing about like bragging about stuff like that. But how did you find out that you had, and I don't want to say the touch because we do a lot of hands-on stuff, but how did you realize that the energy that you had, that you could let the universal energy flow through your body and into the auric field or the body of your client? How did you learn? How did you find that you could do that?
It was originally it was through the training I took with Jerry Sargent. He opened me up and then I went off on my own. And so what I do is I learn from the best of the best. I throw it all in a blender and I come out with a Suzy smoothie. So that's what I do. And I have my own kind of signature blend of what works and what doesn't, because everything that everybody teaches doesn't work, nor should it, because you are your own person. So certain things you're going to like and other things you're not going to exactly care for. But to first feel, I noticed when I had gotten a new cell phone and it was real. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good, because it's emitting stuff, that radiation, but the level of sensitivity and not so much. I mean, the whole empath thing says you're natural, this, that isn't where I was coming from. I wanted to prevent other people from falling into the pit of despair that I was in when I was in my abusive marriage. And for me, it's about building confidence by getting in touch with who the heck you are. So if you think about a state, like a comedy stage where there should be one individual on the stage and there's one spotlight, think of that as your solar plexus. And so I'll take a look at somebody's solar plexus and I'm like, how much in the spotlight are you? And I'll get like a percentage, 12, 37, or, I'll see like little eye like this. And so through just kind of developing as you do the work, new stuff comes in. But I think what's really cool is whatever you label that as, spirit, your guides, whatever, I call it my guidance, is that whatever you know really well, your guides will use that as your database.
Exactly.
So for me, I know like every Bugs Bunny cartoon, all the dialogue, even where there's mistakes in the drawings, like, and I've got a visual memory and I've got an ear for music and syncopation like that, very strong. So even at the end of a dream, I remember I had like credits were going, a song was playing at the end of one of my dreams, or I'll see a Bugs Bunny piece of a cartoon and it means stuff. So sometimes I'll just say it out loud and then that's how you end up having to connect the dots. And then you're like, oh, it means that, which, why can't you just tell me? It's always a puzzle. You always gotta work the puzzle just a little bit because that's what builds you stronger.
Yes. Well, the medium John Edwards, one of the things that he says, I forget in one of his books or whatever, I can't remember exactly where I heard him say it, but he always says, you are the mouthpiece of your experiences, and spirit will use your experiences to get the message through. So that means that we should be out there trying to get as many experiences as we possibly can, and for spirit to actually kind of, pick at it. In my case, Suzy, I lived through disco. You know what that means?
Yes.
I got lots of experiences, but it's funny because people don't get that. And it's the same thing with healing, because when I first started with spiritualist healing, I was younger. I was younger. And I always remember that bringing the hands down and then feeling the energy push back, and then let the energy push through into the auric, either the auric double or into the auric field. And to me, somehow here, it felt normal. Now, I don't know if it was a past life that I was able to tap into, or it was just something that maybe I saw on a Friday night horror movie, because I used to watch those things as a kid. No wonder. That explains a lot, Suzy. But now, what I liked, what you said about a Suzy smoothie. I like that because, again, I'm also trained in Reiki, and I'll be honest with you, I found Reiki more cumbersome than doing, just hands-on energy work.
Mm-hmm. I started there with Reiki.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's not really
well, I started because
it's lovely. It's soft and subtle. I needed more. I just wasn't. My clients were like, oh, I feel so much better. And I'm thinking, I think they're just saying it to make me feel good. And so me and my skeptical self, I'm like, I got to measure. I got to quantify this. And I looked high and low for a tool to measure what I'm doing. And I found it. So I acquired this device, like it goes on like a Fitbit. But then I was terrified to use it because what if nothing was changed and I look like a counterfeit, a fraud? So after like 3 months, this girl who was a client, she brought her boyfriend in who was a little bit skeptical, but open because he was in a bad car accident and had a real bad back injury. Mm-hmm. So I get this little voice, like, use it on him. And in my head, I'm terrified. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Because he's all banged up. So I put the thing on him. Of course, his whole aura is red, low energy. All the energies welled up in the root.
Right.
And
right.
So I do my healing session. I do the after, and I go to pull it up, and inside I'm like, oh God. And it was beautiful, blues and greens. And I was like, oh my God. But I couldn't let them see that face. I couldn't let them, that was the first one that I measured. I was like, oh, thank you. And so I use it for every client. And that also built I need evidence. I'm a skeptic. I need evidence. And that also helps to kind of like sell me. Like, I'm a healer who gives you the proof if you're in person. It doesn't work by proxy. But I do have a client in Germany who has Hashimoto's, so throat energy. and she had real bad swelling under her eyes. Doctor said, because it doesn't hurt, we're not gonna do anything. So I
Typical,
had a
yeah.
session with her. She's in Germany, and it went down. She went back to the doctors, like, what happened? And she wrote me a review too. Her daughter had abscesses, needed surgery. I did 2 sessions. They didn't have to do surgery anymore. Again, in Germany. So it's quantum entanglement. You can work on a hologram. So like I'm an IT nerd. I'm a
Yeah.
self-taught programmer. I've got 5 planets in Virgo, so that perfectionism and IT nerdy stuff. So for me, sometimes when I call up a person's energy, it's like an IP address. So you
Yes.
just find what relates and then you use that. And then if you get your own system going, you'll get a little sprinkle here, a dash of that, a little. So for me, I feel things. And I also don't do hands on either. Like if you're in my office, I am not touching you because it's a liability.
No, I
With
agree.
Reiki,
I agree
it's like,
100%.
and it's like, wait a minute. Well, somebody's got really big bosoms, and there's just too many different things. I don't want to have to touch you.
No, I agree, because in the churches, when I first started, it was all hands on, and it was on the back, and it was on the knees and the hands and
Yeah, kind of
the
the
head.
groin area.
Yeah,
And
and I always felt weird with that.
yeah,
And it's like it wasn't until I started Reiki when we weren't doing any touch unless the person actually requested it.
yeah.
Usually it would have been another Reiki that would be working with you that would be, hey, I'm fine with it. But
Mhm.
I never liked that because I always felt that someone could come back, even if you're doing the healing in a church and it's full of people.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
I always worried about the liability in that.
Yeah.
But the energy is amazing because I often wonder. Now, see, that's why people are always like about ghosts and demons and angels, and I'm not an angel guy. I'm not a demon guy. Everything is energy to me.
Yeah.
Lower energy, higher energy, and memories and personalities. It's all energy. Spirit is energy, and what I love is the fact that when we do an absentee healing session, you're right. Like once you can go and you can key in, all of a sudden, it's there. It's there. I had to go in for surgery, my 10th surgery. Quick story,
10.
Susie. 10th, yeah. All my bladder stuff that I've had done. So I had to go in. They had to, excuse me, they were going to go and remove some stuff. Parts are parts, Susie. You know how that works. Parts are parts. So they're going to remove stuff. Doctor goes in, comes out, goes up to my wife, goes to Nancy. I'm sorry to have to put you guys through this. There's nothing there. It's gone. And he goes, looks at Nancy, goes, but you're into that woo-woo stuff, ain't you? And yeah, and that's a true story. So the energy that she was pumping into me, and I'm a man, I'm a basket case with that stuff. But I was still, I admit it, Susie. I was still sending energy to myself too, doing a self-healing. So, and other people were actually sending energy too, So I know that was all part of it. And people don't get that. People are always like, well, you have to. No, you don't. You don't have to be there. You can, you can be the focus of our energy. Now, Suzy, not only are you an energy healer, but you use sound. Wait a minute. Let me look for this. I think I have a photograph somewhere of, right here. Show, there we go.
There it is. Yeah.
Your gongs. Now,
yes.
I am so lately, I'm going to be honest with you. I am so fascinated by sound. And as a matter of fact, I have a set of tuning forks that I'm using on myself. And when I need to I need to clear an area. First off, I hate using sage or anything that smokes, because people just are like, what are you burning in there? What is that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, isn't that stuff that my cousin used to burn behind the barn or something? No,
Right. Sage is heavy. Yeah.
And a lot of people, have problems with it. And then when I'm working, if it's a Catholic family, I'll use frankincense or something.
Love
but
frankincense. Yeah.
I started using sound as cleansing. tell everybody about your work with sound. And people, one of the things that I love to have is I love sound baths. So tell everybody about sound healing, because to me, that's one of those modalities that people don't understand enough about.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people don't know what they're doing either, and they cause like where people jump out of their skin. Frequencies, audible frequencies
Right.
with the tuning forks. So there's weighted forks and unweighted forks. The ones without the weights are audible and you can hear those very clearly.
Right.
So so even if I'm doing a house cleansing or business or whatever, I'll bring my tincture bells, ting, ting, ting. So you can, again, I need evidence. So when I had my crystal shop, I would demonstrate. I love to demonstrate because proof. And so you just go around your archway of the door, ting, 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 and you wave them as you go up, and you could hear, oh, there's heavy energy there, because people are going in and out of the door.
Exactly.
So as you continue to do that, you will hear it start to dissipate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, I will unscrew a jar, somebody's crown chakra, and then I'll sound a tuning fork, which I use solfeggio tuning forks. I don't use one fork per chakra. The solfeggio forks, the sum of the frequencies, all in numerology, add up and singular to
Right.
3, 6, or 9, which is
Right.
Pythagoras, the building of the universe. Can you hear her?
She's a cutie. She is such
I
a
just
cutie.
love her. Cinnamon is so the spice is super protective, and it's one of my favorite spices, and that's her color, and that's why I named her Cinnamon. Anyways, so I sound the tuning fork over the head, and you can hear if there's issues there. And even I've got all kinds of tuning forks. So you can sweep so your whole life from this lifetime, your conception is 6 feet away from you, a whole circle of 6 feet. And I can hear someone's talking about me. So your conception is 6 feet away. And so you take a tuning fork and you sweep a circle 6 feet away. You can hear if that was consensual. Was it good? So you can pick that stuff. It's really the sharper stuff that's negative that picks up. So if there's no disturbance, then it's good. You keep on going. But if somebody had a crisis and you sound that tuning fork and you start sweeping it, whatever the age is, think of tree rings, you'll hit it. You'll feel it with that fork. And if it's a traumatic experience, it'll go zzz, it goes sharp. If it's a depressive experience, it goes and it's a flat. And you can hear it. Everybody can hear it. So if I'm demonstrating an energy, like during my retreats, I always demonstrate an energy healing. And so I'll sound the fork behind them and do my little thing and then sound it again. And everybody can hear it's no longer sounding heavy or whatever. And it builds everybody up. It's awesome. But that wasn't enough for me because nothing ever is. So the tincture bells, the forks. But then I was invited to do a thing at a presentation in Sedona. I think it was the first time I had gone there for Soul Treat Wellness Universe. Well, as the practitioner, you also had to take other of the presentations. So there was this Australian woman who spoke light language into the back of the gong. She remembers her Lemurian lifetime.
Wow.
And she had this big ass gong. And I'm like, oh God, I got to see the gong lady. And so I go to her thing and I was whooshed, to something somewhere in Africa, not Egypt itself. It felt south of Egypt, some kind of a border there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an amazing experience. And she and I hit it off famously. And so it's because of her. Her name is Maya Boston. Because of her, I got into the gong. So I got my first one. I got a Neptune gong, but that wasn't enough. And I also have to be able to feel it. So if it's just a little tink, nah. So I had to go bigger. And so I got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now the 32-inch with the sacred geometry that was made in, it's a Tibetan gong. So it's not machined. It's not from the regular big box store. Oh my God, what a difference. And so you tap that thing. It's like, and your every cell of your being is vibrating. And so you get transported sometimes, or you have, Oh yeah, it's just such a beautiful experience. And gongs are not a single tone like forks are,
Right.
or the quartz bowls.
Right.
So the quartz bowls is one note, one for your root, it's C, D, all the way. So one for each thing. But with the gongs or the metal or 7 alloy bowls, which I got my first one from Joe Matson, who's right here in Western New York in the same county as me. And she's a world-class teacher, sound healer too. I got my first crystal skull from her too. But with those 7 metal items, the bowl or the gong, you get all of these overtones, and it just ripples through you. Now, I have developed this so well. I'm being told strategically. I wouldn't have said that, but that's what I'm told. That I speak either, sometimes it's chanting, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and you can feel the it's very different, and I demonstrate that too. So that picture that you showed is in Ellicottville, like their town square. And passersby, I would have them come out. Who wants to volunteer? I'll do a healing in front of everybody. And let me demonstrate these gongs. So here it is. I'm hitting it with the mallet. Now, for me, I don't do anything the way I'm supposed to do. I do it the way that feels right. So I play the gongs from behind the gongs instead of from the front. And I will speak behind them. So I'll demonstrate, here it is. And now you're not going to hear me, but I'm going to go here. I'm going to say some stuff and sound the gong. And you just see everybody's expressions changing. And because proof, I'm very evidence-based. Like, what good is it? I don't want to, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I want you to feel it. It's got to be your experience. And I'm just
sharing. That's exactly it. But excuse me, people don't realize that everything is vibrating. Everything is vibrating. It's just physics 101.
Right. Yeah.
If everything isn't, if everything,
your water bottle, it's
exactly.
Vibrating. Just because you can't see it moving doesn't mean it's not alive.
Exactly.
Consciousness, but it's alive.
Now you're going and you are using sound. That sound definitely affects everybody and everything on a cellular level. That's my opinion. That's the way I've always been taught. It's the way that I feel it is correct. That alone, and I believe that frequency heals, because in the 1950s, we know that they had experiments where they would go and they actually piped in certain frequencies throughout the hospital. They stopped it in the late 60s and 70s because science said that it didn't work.
Right. When you know the opposite is true.
Right. And to me, that has always been something that, and it goes all the way back with crystals and anything that will emit energy, anything that is alive. And let's face it, everything's alive if you go and you think about it in those ways. Now, when we start talking about energy, let's go and talk about your crystal skulls, because your crystal skulls are sitting there and they're all, it's like a symphony sitting behind you. Everybody's singing back there and they all want to say hello. So we have a couple minutes, about 5 minutes, and you can tell everybody, about the crystal skulls.
Crystal skulls are phenomenal. So you get the energy of the crystal, whatever crystal it is, and then the shape, you get sound, you get shape resonance. So the human skull is going to be the human form, but there's also the extraterrestrial ones. This is a coral, very, very, very cool. And I love, you are extraterrestrial. Like, this isn't your first rodeo. You've had so many lifetimes before Earth was even a twinkle in Creator's eye.
Yes.
Right. Let's be real. But so that was another thing I'm super skeptical. Oh yeah, those are stupid. Blah 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 blah. People want to be. They think they're all that. But
you're preaching to the choir, sister. You're preaching to the choir, because for years I never believed in any of that stuff. I went and saw one of the guys one of the people that owns, I think one of the 7 skulls or whatever. I can't remember the whole thing, but Carolyn Ford, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Carolyn Ford. And I went and I was like, oh, this has got to be BS. And you know what? By the time I was done, I was like, I've got to go and investigate this even more, because I don't know why, But when you were allowed to go up there and you actually could put your hand on the top of the cranium of the crystal skull, Einstein, the
Hers is, yeah.
vibration just came right up my arm, and I just stood there and went, "Holy crap!" And
Uh-huh.
at that point, I said, "There's got to be more. There's got to be something to this now."
I
And
totally fell into that rabbit hole. So I've connected with Carolyn. I have a ton of her skulls that are Einstein imprinted. That happens to be the one that I brought to share. So this is an agate skull. And one night I was sitting at my desk. I'm always sitting at my work desk. And I'm just sitting there with it. And I started to see a map. And I'm zooming in on the map, and then I open a Google map to help me find what are you showing me here? And it starts with a Y, and it's a real long. And so I'm zooming and looking around, and they're like there. Okay, I'm clueless. I don't know. So, but I get like that's the end point. Okay, so I take this, I explain it, and I email it to Carolyn Ford, and she's like, "That's where Einstein was found."
wow,
I am not kidding.
that's amazing.
So,
That's
this
amazing.
is the one that told me that. Yeah. Yeah. So you can, with crystal skulls, you can tune into higher realms of consciousness. I love to scry as well. So that was another thing I thought I could never do. I absolutely love. I started scrying like my dinner plate after I oh my God, it means something. And just one thing led to another. I'm like, oh, it's all connected. It's all interwoven. Like, this is brilliant.
Do you know how? Do you want to know what my first experience with scrying was? I'll tell you.
What?
Spiritualist Church National does not allow you to use really tools except for seance, right?
Okay.
No cards, no crystal balls. Gentleman was a great reader, but he was a scryer. So they wanted him to go and do gallery. So he goes up there, he's on the podium, and I see him looking down. So afterwards, I'm going, "What were you looking at? What, because that always interests me. What's the process?" Yeah. He goes like this: the Buddhist monks use their thumbnail, as a point for scrying. I went, son of a, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Whenever I have a little blockage up there, which is often when I'm doing gallery, you'll see me do this, and I'll go down and I'll look at my thumbnail, and that opens it up right away. So, I mean, I think those are great. Hey, I have a question for you. I reserved this question, and this is a hard question. And I reserve this question only for people that I like, that I truly like. At the end of everything we do in this incarnation, right? We live our lives, we do the work the best we can. What would you like to be chiseled into your tombstone?
Ooh.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. I'll tell you mine. He was an okay guy. That's good enough for me. He's an okay guy. So long as I owed somebody money. I don't want that on my tombstone.
Well, I have a motto. Find yourself, love yourself, be yourself, and be proud.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely great. I think
that'd be a pretty good epitaph, right?
I think that would be just unbelievable. What is going on in the crazy world of Suzy Woo? Where can they find out about you? And, oh, wait a minute. I know. People can go, first of all, and go to SuzyWoo.com.
With a dash in the middle.
There you go. You're going to be able to go and find out everything she's doing. But where are you? Where can people come and see you?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I have some reschedules that aren't on the books yet. So I would encourage you to use my website and go to the calendar of events, because I know I'll be back. I go to Cleveland a lot.
Love Cleveland.
I do well there. So I'll have some Cleveland dates back on there. But the big deal is after several years of wishing and hoping and dreaming and wanting, I am finally officially creating the Healing and Retreat Center.
That's going to be wonderful.
You are the Miracle Center for the Spiritual Arts. It is called. It is filed. I got the 501c3 from the IRS. We are official.
Awesome.
And so I will be hosting. Oh, I know what it was. Something that's really cool. We're doing a psychic cruise on a real steamboat. The Chautauqua Belle. Have you ever
I
been
saw
on
that.
that?
Yes, I have.
That's a new thing. I was thinking.
I think that's cool. When I saw that on your website, I was like, only Suzy Woo would be able to get on a paddle wheel ship on Lake Chautauqua in Chautauqua, New York. Only you could do it. And I thought, what? It's mind blowing. You know what? I'm going to go rent a rubber raft. That's where I'm going to be teaching. That's as far as I go. I get the raft. You get the bell.
I did a sound bath on the ferry. The Chautauqua Ferry, whatever it's called, this Bemis Point Ferry. That was really cool. It was so good. We're going to do that again this year coming up.
That's cool.
But our big event, the big one is August 15th and 16th in Erie, Pennsylvania. We are doing a metaphysical, holistical, mystical expo with over 100 expositioners. What's the word? Exhibitors.
Close enough.
You're going to be there. And the coolest people, of course. We've got people coming from all over the world. We have Alan Clay, founder of Dwarf Planet University, coming from New Zealand. We've got a didgeridoo person coming from Australia.
Awesome.
Like, this is world class. And so is this healing center. It's going to have like sound chamber, frequency spa, trainings, teachings, healing, all of this stuff on one premise with tiny homes. Because you know what? I do these big, beautiful retreats, but I got to lug all my stuff, all of these gongs, these skulls. It's tens of $1,000s of stuff. I don't want to do that. I just want to put it in one place. You come there, and then people could also have retreats there too. So right now, I got the paperwork. It's about it. So we got to do some fundraising. I'm planning on doing it in probably Chautauqua County, I think. It's got to have a lot of acres. It's got to be natural, mostly off grid. And boy, oh boy, is it going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
I would invite, people to apply to be part of this big deal. It's going to be a fundraiser, this expo.
It's going to be fun. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there.
Oh, I'm so grateful.
Well, it's going to be, you know what? I arranged a schedule to get there because it was so nice. And the fact that you turned around and you thought enough of me to invite me, I thought that was just wonderful. So anyway, Suze, I got to say thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Stay on the line, kiddo. Stay on the line. Thank you properly off air. And again, much success to you. And you know what? Suzy Woo is amazing. And you've been amazing since the first time I met you. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in this. I've been in the field far longer than I actually should have. And you are one of the brighter stars that I've ever met from Western New York. And I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
That you just hit me in the feels. You really did. Thank you so very much.
You're the best. Hold on there, kiddo. I'll be right back. Guys, Suzy Woo, isn't she special? She is amazing. I just love her to death. Again, I've been blessed because I get a chance to meet some of the, not just, everybody goes, oh, well, you know all the TV stars and all that. That's all right. You know what? It's people like Suzy Woo who are the true movers and shakers, the people who really live the life rather than just be a character on TV. And that's what I think is so important. That's what people should be. So guys, got to go. You've been listening to what else? The Black Cat Lounge. Where we all hang out next to the dumpster transfer station. That's the way it works, guys. See you next week. Thank you so much. You guys bless me for being here. Bye-bye. Good night.